Club NGMI.
We are so glad you made it to the spooky season edition of Club NGMI. Dandy 8052 is playing hurt, so Lou's going to drive the ship. I just realized we're supposed to do a cold open and then do the intro, so we're just going to bring our friends on now. So welcome everyone. So Lou, how was your week?
It was a good week. It was my last week of regular work, so it was pretty busy on that end, but seems like I didn't miss anything too crazy in the NFT space. So as you drink, I see that mug that you got there.
Yeah.
That an Ori mug?
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Looks great.
Yeah, it's the one and only. What do you mean nothing big happened? We'll get to something big that happened. This is unbelievable, Lou. I don't understand you. Babs, how was your week?
My week was brutal because I missed the only big thing of the week. So I feel like now I'm just sad. But otherwise, yeah, it was a pretty boring week, I'd say. Not a ton that I would have minted. I was excited for Parallel. I struck out. So that wasn't super fun. But other than that, I got zeros across the board. I got none. And, that was one of the few things that I was just like looking forward to. So I'd say otherwise, there's a pretty quiet week for minting. I didn't do a ton. Trying to remember, but otherwise, it's good. Glad to be here.
Happy to have you, Babs, as always. Trey, welcome back from the sun down in Florida up to Minnesota. Just timely, you're like the opposite of a migrating bird.
Yeah,
north for the winter.
Well, I already booked a flight back for Thanksgiving, so it felt like I was gone I'd never been away from home for that long, 2 weeks. So felt a little bit weird, kind of weird to be back, but kind of glad to be back in my element, sitting on my computer all day. But like Lou and Babs said here, pretty ho-hum week in terms of minting and stuff other than Parallel. So it seems like we're kind of back to like that early June, late May time where we almost know when the good mints are coming up, and it's not just like this free-for-all frenzy constantly. So it's been kind of like a breath of fresh air, right? Spent some time, celebrating Halloween this weekend. Saw my Vikings loss yesterday in person, so that sucked. But other than that, can't complain.
I haven't had that take of we're basically recycling. I like that take.
It seems like it. There's no crap mints really anymore. At least maybe we're just not noticing them because there's just not as much activity in general, not as much capital coming into the NFT space, not as many eyeballs because of, all the other coins that are ripping right now. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's actually kind of nice. So more quality, less quantity.
We had that one stretch there where I feel like we were minting like 4 to 5 things every day at a minimum, right?
Oh,
and that was like so overwhelming. It's like you said, it's kind of refreshing to have, maybe one every couple days that we might look at.
Yep.
Kind of feels like it's nice to have kind of a little bit of time back almost, right? But again, it'd be nice to have a little bit more things to look forward to, I would say too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think we could replace, that August, I think is when it was probably peak frenzy, when it was just, you couldn't leave your computer or else you were probably costing yourself money.
Yeah, we had a cycle like this earlier, and I want to say it was around the Pudgy Penguins, where it was, everyone was trying to mint at 0.08, and then the 0.08 mints were failing. They weren't selling out. And then that's why we went into the Pudgy Penguins. And when we hit the Pudgy Penguins, we thought, oh, maybe it's these cheap ones that are the only things that are going to sell out now. And then just less projects were jumping each day. I think there was one day, was it like Sunday? Was it when there was only 2 on that calendar that popped in? So I think there's just less coming out because they're a little more scared that it's not as easy to just immediately sell out anymore.
Yep.
So, Babs, you said there's nothing big, or Lou said there's nothing big. Zug, where's my Zuggers at? I mean, that was a huge day for those of us in the Discord and in Zug world. So the Ether Orcs have finished. Have they called it phase 1, Babs? Is that what they're calling it?
It was phase 1. That was kind of like their initial roadmap, let's say. So
yeah. So what happened was a few of us in the Discord we're lazy. We just had our orcs training. Who cares what that really means? Training forever. Fast forward to a while, weeks, literal weeks in NFT world, which is months. And then these orcs, they had a chance to become gods. There were only 12 god spots, essentially. And 21 orcs in general were eligible. We believe that 2 were in a dead wallet that wasn't doing anything with it. So there were 19 available. And then all day, it was basically contract sleuthing. People were learning Solidity. I know Easy in the chat learned that the exclamation mark equals means not equals. So we're all learning stuff together with the orcs, which that fact just in of itself, I'm not trying to shame Easy. I think it's great that people are legit learning a small part of coding through this nerd stuff. And then what happened was the four of us who were going for it for an Orc God through Ether Orcs hit. And that was incredible. And along the way, a few people made contact with a punk owner, and then a punk owner joined our little corner of the world, which is pretty incredible. So shout out to the folks in the Discord working with the orcs, specifically Easy, who did a bunch of the work on the orc side. But yeah, we got the Ether Orc Gods. And of course, I got the Florist God, which is great. Love liquidity for my zombie orc. And I'm not even sure, like, they just have more ability to get more Zug. Like, what's better than them other than aesthetics, Babs? Do you know the mechanics of the next steps?
they have the highest Zug modifier. So I think they're plus 30, and I think the best you could have otherwise is plus 27 or something. Or they're plus 35. So they just earn more Zug a day. But the orc thing was fun. Like I actually loved the game theory of it. So you basically had, almost call it a 50% chance of getting an Orc God, which, in our heads, we thought they'd all sell for around 12 Ethereum. But if you didn't end up getting one of those, I would say you almost had an 8 Ethereum swing. Like if you ended up on the bad side, you have a naked orc and he's probably worth, at best 3 to 4 Ethereum. So it was kind of crazy to make the decision to go for that because you're basically making the decision to never have equipment for your orc. It was just a fun game theory thing. You had to make a decision, a risky one. And you don't see that with NFT projects very often. Like I just love the orcs for that reason. It was a lot of fun to see people try for it. So,
what do you think about the future of the orcs, though, Babs? Because that's the next step, especially for those orc gods. Like we need an a Zug sync to really use our utility. So, I've seen some things. I know they're kind of in a tough spot as far as a dev team goes, for a couple of reasons. But what do you think about the next steps? Are you excited about the announcements they've been making, or like what's your analysis there?
I'm still excited. Like I sold one. I sold my albino that I ditched the dungeon before you guys went for the Orc Gods. I sold one and I still have 7 left. I'd say I'm bullish because I still have them. And me, I try and limit my projects that I hold long term, and Orcs is one of those ones I'm holding. Like I look forward to the deployment of the next phase, which is they're trying to do raids, which is basically group kind of dungeon missions, and trying to go for that first on-chain RPG game, have some utility, and if it takes off, if the game's fine,
robot Babs.
kind of like yeah. Oh, am I freezing?
Yeah, you roboted a little bit.
We're losing you.
So what a few of us that were
back.
doing orcs were saying is like, this has been the most fun game that we've had on NFT world, and it was just the leveling part. So I like the idea of the rating because it's kind of, actually today in the Discord we were just chatting. We're like, oh yeah, we'll get the band back together and do some rating together. Like let's just do this as a group. And then I mentioned, I used to do some game nights on Zoom, and this can replace that in some ways too, of like hanging out with your internet buddies, doing some raiding with your orcs. It's just at a whole different scale. Like one orc god today sold for 10 Ethereum, and that seemed about right to me. But that's also how I price stuff, is I price it fairly low compared to other people when we're talking high price things. So other folks in the Discord were like, oh, That feels low for what they think the Orc God should be compared to the floor price, which I get in that perspective for sure. But my brain just kind of short circuits when I go that high. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like moving forward. I would love to. Everything's a content play now, apparently, as I shave my face after my wife goes away on a work trip for a content play. Seems like it could be something to stream. I don't know if there's a nice UI for the rating, whatever that looks like. I know they showed an animation of a dude chopping, so that was pretty fun. Lou or Trey, how about an outsider's perspective on the Orcs? Were you all interested in the Orcs? Did you all have FOMO, not from like an ETH perspective, but from like gaming and participating? What was your perspective on that?
I was just going to kind of add that. I really don't get too upset, especially nowadays when I do miss something. I obviously have that quick little bit of like, oh damn, like I really like dropped the ball on that one. I should have been at my computer or something like that. But for the most part, like once people start selling their stuff and whatever, and everybody's kind of out, then I kind of just brush it off and move on to the next one. This one though, for sure, I've had like this kind of lingering, like mostly because you guys, it seemed like at first it was like zug, and I was like, okay, this is just going to be another one of those like, quick little memes that we run through in the Discord, and then it's kind of like on to the next thing. But this is definitely stuck around, and it's cool to see. Like, I feel like I actually do feel like I'm missing out on like a portion of the Discord because it's so active and so many people are still in it and enjoying it, because there's like that game aspect to it where you can hop into the Discord and do it with your friends, like raid with you. That's pretty cool. So that's the type of stuff nowadays that I get more upset that I missed about. It's not even about the ETH, like you said. It's more just about like the camaraderie, I guess, which sounds super cliche, but actually that's kind of where the FOMO is coming from right now.
It's about the community.
The community, right? Yeah.
Lou, what was your outsider perspective on the Orcs?
I haven't really been following the Orcs, but you mentioned the idea of like gaming. Did you guys see the Illuvium gameplay trailer? That looked pretty cool. I think when it comes down to it, the games that are going to succeed are the games that are going to be fun to play, not just the ones that are selling for high amounts. Because if people are selling these for 10 ETH, then people are going to be less interested in playing the game and more interested in selling for more. So I think long run, that might not be the best thing, but it's currently in that hype cycle of like, these are the best things you can have right now. So it's replacing like the rarest items, but you can level up and then eventually reach God status, or you have to have done it already.
It's a sore subject, Lou.
So
it's a sore subject.
So not anymore. Basically, the first phase, the only phase you're going to be able to get an Orc God or get any equipment. So like you had to make decisions along the way of like what dungeons you wanted to raid. Obviously the earlier dungeons had more equipment, so they were easier to get. But if you waited for the later ones, some of them got, stripped before you even got there. So you kind of had to make that game theory decision of what you wanted to do, which was a lot of fun, right? Like it was kind of strategic that way. But yeah, that whole phase is done. So you're kind of now to the next phase, which is raiding, which their plan is to do raids and get companions with it. We don't really know much of the details, but you're trying to earn Zog to, maybe get companions, which would be elves or something else, like develop the game to a different extent. But all the Genesis Orcs are kind of done at this point.
You're missing the bone shards, which is what you'll get, and you'll turn the bone shards into a see. It's very straightforward, guys. It's very simple. But Lou, what I thought you were going to step into was, I alluded to this earlier, but the dev team has liquidity problems with themselves because this was a free mint. They've taken $0 on secondary sales, and so now they're expected to keep building this game out. What's their incentive, or why are they going to do it? So one method they're exploring, or I don't know if it's finalized yet, but they're expecting to create another Orc God and auction off that Orc God to pay for development fees. So they're diluting the pool, if you will, of uniques. And this reminds me a little bit of Top Shot when we're talking about the super high end, like LeBron, the Cosmics, and that kind of thing, where what if they go back and they get a new one-of-one unique whatever for another high-end player kind of thing. So what does it look like as a user that I didn't work hard, but I waited and I was patient and I won a race essentially to get this really rare NFT. Now what? You're diluting it. So that doesn't really feel that good as a user, but I get it from the dev perspective.
And didn't those fluffy polar bears just do that too? Where they had like 900 or however many that weren't claimed, and then they were going to create more one of ones.
I didn't hear about them creating more.
I didn't either. But if that's the case, then that's pretty dumb.
Yeah, I read that they were adding like 99 that I don't know if they were going to be auctioned off. I forget the method they were going with. But yeah, it was however many didn't get minted at the end, I think was going to determine how many they created. But yeah, it's kind of weird where if you can't reach the god status, the only way you can get it is by buying. And if they have too much of an advantage, then that might deter the people that don't have the gods as well. And that's interesting that you said that they're building out a game, but they don't have money to fund it, because that's all of these games. That's their big thing, is they need the funding. So that's not the best, I don't think, like long-term look. But yeah, if there's ways that they can figure out how to generate cash, then I think that would be a good idea.
Well, what's tricky is like clearly they haven't thought about this stage yet, because they held some orcs back, which we thought when they were first happening, we're like, oh, this is ultra bullish because they have to build this game to get value out of it. So they're really incentivized to make this thing good. Fine. But then actually I saw Outlaw in the Discord mention this, like, well, then when do you ever sell them? When do you ever say I'm not bullish anymore? Like, when do you signal that as a dev team? You can't. So what do you do? Perhaps what you seem to have something here.
Well, that's the problem. Like, you hold these back in order for you to have some kind of liquidity and stake in the game. But what the instant you sell them, people are worried that you sold them. And then so the other option is hold them. But then you run into this liquidity problem where they don't have any. Like, they never charge secondary sales. They invested their own money to start this. Now what do you do, right? Like, I would love for them to sell them all right now, but all that does is send a signal to the market that, hey, maybe they're worried that their game isn't going to be developed like they want it to be, right? So I don't know what the answer is.
I would be fine with the middle road being they stake this because you could stake this orc to get Zug, which is the in-game I don't want to say currency, but I'm trying to find the clever way to say it's not
token, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
token. I was trying to find the funny way that they dance around the words to not be a security, but I don't even know. Whatever. They could get that token and then sell the token, because then it's recurring. They're still invested, and that's the way to get some liquidity. But the fact of the matter is, right now, for that token, there's not enough value within the game for it to be worth a significant portion to pay for dev teams, or get some Chipotle on the table, if you will.
So for you two being in it still, sorry to cut you off there, Dangy, is that not like incredibly bearish that they haven't, like, they set up, I mean, this is a horrible business plan. You don't have any capital at all to even push the game forward from there. Like, I know that it's a good look on the surface to not charge secondary fees and not act like you're being greedy, but I mean, there's definitely a fine line there. Like, they're running into a problem now that they've kind of backed themselves into a corner that it's going to be really hard to get out of. Because if they stick to not taking any secondary sales or fees from secondary sales, then they're stuck with no capital anymore. And now they got to think of all these weird ways to go about it from there. So the fact that these are selling for so much and that people, I mean, they don't even have it thought out yet. That's, I'd be at least a little bit concerned there. And I don't mean to FUD it, because I have no dog in the fight. Just kind of interesting to hear that, because I haven't been following it that much.
Yeah, so they did put a vote forward to increase fees to 2.5%. So they are trying to start something, and then they have said they've kind of started the rating like development already. Like, it's not as far away as you think it is. So if they come out with that and it's halfway decent, then like maybe we're more bullish. But yeah, it's concerning until you get to the point of you seeing the next phase of the game in some capacity, right?
Yeah,
so,
I haven't seen any talk about it outside of our Discord at all. Not on Twitter, not in other Discords. So that's where I guess in that sense don't have that FOMO, because like I don't really see other people talking about it to really gauge that like general sentiment. So I guess that's my side. And then there's like the thread that we have. And if I'm not in the thread, then I'm not hearing the talk about it, you know?
Well,
For sure. And that's kind of our bullish case on why like some of us are holding it is, you know, not a lot of people know about it. The floor is pretty decent considering, you know, we increased supply the whole time. It's still holding at like 0.6. So it's still decent. And I think our bull case is if people ever like caught onto it and started talking about it more, then you get people interested in it, you know, all of a sudden the price could go up. Like that's kind of why some of us are bullish long-term, I'd say, but you know, that's the thesis of the play.
I'm also bullish because these projects they're like small businesses that raise capital very quickly, and so they're gonna suck somewhere. In my view, there's not gonna be a perfect company. Maybe there is one. Maybe it's parallel. I don't know. We'll get to that in a bit, I think. But where would I want them to suck? Paying themselves? Sure. If I had to pick one, that's one to pick because their contract has been fairly ironclad. They had to pause once for a small issue, I believe. But I think that was it. They paused the game, and that was a little harrowing as somebody who had an orc, because I remember that they had to pause the game for a little bit, reset it because there was an issue when they migrated from one contract to the other. But otherwise, the contracts have been ironclad. They were really good at communicating within the Discord. So community management side, they've been good. But I agree. Business side, they're terrible because they have $0, I guess. But I think as a user, that's fine with me as long as they can find a way to keep building. So I like it in that's the furthest away problem when you're developing the game or developing the project, right? Because smart contract might come first, community comes first, probably smart contract, then we've got art, and all those things have to be in place. And people do love the art for the orcs. Even, I mean, it's a specific style. So if you're a nerd that, you know, played Diablo in your basement and then started working out and then got some sick abs, then became Babs and then became abs, you love the art, like my friend Babs. So I think it makes sense on a lot of levels aside from that business development side. So, and they have outs, right? Like we just described. You could do the Zug route. You could make a 13th god, which people were talking about the 13th god that first night, actually. Like 13, it makes sense to have gods as far as the number goes. Fine. But yeah, it does kind of stink to change the rules after the game has been played. So we'll see what happens with that. So Babs, you struck out on parallel, right? Lou and Trey, how did you all do on parallel, or did you participate?
3-3-0 here.
Same, but I still don't have my cards. So
really, I just got mine today.
Out, I guess, on all of the wealth, since everyone just immediately undercuts or takes the WETH offer. Yeah, one of the rarest card I had was like a 1.5 floor with 1.2 offers on it, and then I checked today and it's 0.4 floor with 0.3 offers on it. So I was like, well, how do people bring it down so fast, so hard? It's like people are just trying to immediately get out. And that was the worry I had going into it, was if you're not going to hold, then you either have to immediately sell or you're just kind of screwed.
Yeah, it was a race to get the cards this time. It was less so last time, but it was also much more under the radar, I think, in the July drop.
Last time you were better off getting them and then waiting 2 weeks, right? Where a lot of people did accept offers right away, but you know, obviously it was a different market then, and it rocketed pretty hard like 2 weeks after the drop. This one, I think it's a slow burn down to the bottom a little bit. It's just a different environment right now, right? Like, you know, if that changes, yeah, of course, in 2 weeks it might go back up, but right now I think the market is what it is, right?
It's also more supply too. But they still have a ton of cards, don't they? That they have to release.
That's what I'm not clear on. So how many more drops? I mean, is this like a Zed situation where they're just gonna, you know, they have a cap on these SEs and they're just gonna keep releasing them until they can?
SEs, yes, but there's gonna be a ton of cards, and that's by design for the game.
More cards,
Yep.
Always more cards is my understanding of the game. So. Yeah, I think who are you really selling to? You're selling to completists, people who want the whole set, and then once they get their set, then they're happy. So that's fine. There's not that many people like that in the world that are interested in parallel and that missed out on the drop. So yeah, the high end buyers are few and far between. I know in the Discord, Crypto Storm is our resident parallel maxi and kind of knowledge base. So we were using him as a big resource, I guess. And he was saying basically, yeah, some of the cores and the masterpieces are really worth a lot, but it's just not liquid. So that's the biggest issue right now, I think, with trying to sell your parallel cards. It's like my orc, right? My orc's a floor orc god, so more liquid than the other ones, but not as good as the other ones, I guess. What are our thoughts on the drop? So I've talked about it a little bit before. It's like Web 2, you have to log in and have an account. Fine. Web 3, you have to have a MetaMask. So when you went in and you reserved them, did we like that process? All that kind of stuff. What kind of failings were there? Babs, you were nodding.
Man, I was still I'm tilted about the whole process. Like I hate first come first serve. I hate the whole is your internet the fastest? Like you click the button, your web page loaded 10 seconds before mine. I was dust, right? So to me, that's not fair. One, if you wanted to make it fair, just do Top Shot queue system, right? Like your whole intention was to get as many packs into many different people's hands as possible. Then do the queue system. I know Trey is shaking his head, but if that's your intention, just do the queue system, right? And then if your intention is you want people to have packs, why did you let people reserve 3, right? Like you had 1/3 less people getting packs because you gave everyone 3 when you knew demand was going to be insane. Like, why did people need 3? Right. So I just hated the whole process. And I know maybe it's sour grapes because I missed out, but I hated it last time when I got them. So I would just prefer either have a gas war or make it a queue if you're going to do it this way.
Yeah, the queue makes sense to me. The queue or a raffle. I was listening to a podcast. I'll have to pull up which one it was. And it was about fairness and NFT drops and different leaks and kind of thing. And gas wars aren't fair for obvious reasons. And then what are other leaks available? And what they came up with was basically a time-based raffle where you put in the Ethereum and then you get it back at the end if you fail, or you get the token if you succeed. So that's one way to do it, I think, versus this click as fast as you can kind of concept. Because yeah, it's relatively arbitrary, but it could be botted. I don't think it was in this scenario. But yeah, it leads to frustration because why were some people in our Discord able to get 333, which is the basically low, medium, and high tier drops, and then some were able to get 000? What was it? I don't know. They all wanted it the same, and kind of it does leave a bad taste in your mouth for sure. Trey, what are your thoughts on that system?
I mean, the fact that it wasn't botted is, at least it doesn't seem like it, or that to my knowledge. I mean, what else can you ask for in a drop? I mean, the CAPTCHA thing was not great, right? Where some people get CAPTCHA and others don't. So I would say that's the one exception. But I mean, you didn't have people that were getting stupid amounts of packs, like 12 or 15 or 20, right? I mean, for the most part, everybody in our Discord either got 333, 330, or 300, or they struck out. But I have a feeling most of the people that did strike out went for that premium pack. And I mean, when you have, what did Crypto Storm say? There was going to be how many people going for that premium pack, and there's only 500 of them. It seemed like most of the people, had a decent shot at it. I mean, for the demand, that it seemed pretty good and it seemed pretty spread out. And the queue system just completely takes out any control that you have. So I want there to be that, okay, I felt like I went in there and did something right. When you mint something like that, you get that satisfaction. Whereas when you get put in a queue, it sucks. You just sit there, and if you strike out, and you're like, wow, that was really dumb, right? So yeah, maybe it's not the most fair, but I mean, it seemed pretty spread out given the demand. And so those are my types of drops. That's how I like them. Maybe it's because I do well on them. I don't know why. I mean, I don't think I have any faster internet than anyone else. It's not like I got any massive servers up here, but yeah, maybe that's me being a little bit biased because I got the 330, but those are kind of my thoughts on it.
Lou, what are your thoughts on the fastest finger, I guess, first come, first serve, 1 second style drops? Basically like sneaker drops in my head. This is my understanding of how the sneaker drops are. Just click a button this time. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is how fast that goes, and if you're not just sitting at your computer, because saw a lot of people are having issues with mobile to do it, and a lot of people at whatever it was 5 o'clock on a Saturday aren't at home and just gonna sit on the drop, and it was heavily touted as guaranteed EV, and that's one thing that concerned me a little about that next drop they're gonna have, because I think each of these drops they have are gonna become less and less EV as more and more cards get distributed. And so I think in general it was a relatively fair drop. People had the same plan, and people are going to complain if they don't get it either way, whether they say, oh, it was on Twitter first, you said it was going to be on Discord first. It's like, well, just have both up. If you know that it's going to be one or the other, have both up. You want to be the first to click. You click, it says page not found. You just got to keep refreshing. It's everyone's playing the same game at that point. And that's where I kind of side with what Trey was saying, where at a raffle, you're just relying on luck completely and you don't really have any control. So then maybe in that sense, you can't complain about something because it was based off of luck. But I mean, people always find a way to complain anyway.
Yeah.
And people are going to multi-account raffles too. So, I mean, you're going to run into, there's a sacrifice to be made at almost every single drop style that you do. Like if you just do a regular gas war, you don't get that same plus EV, but you can almost guarantee yourself the mint, right? So it's like that game, right? Where it's like, okay, you get guaranteed plus EV here with parallel, but at the expense of it's a first come, first serve, fastest wins. So I think that's where there's like these trade-offs in every single style of mint that happens. And there's always going to be, parallel last time was perfect. This time it wasn't. So.
Yeah, I think you could argue that you could do the same system, but make it raffle where you have 2 minutes to enter, right? Like it would stop the multi-counting, it'd stop the botting a little bit. Like you have 2 minutes to click the link to get in, and then it's closed, right? Like it's similar, but then you're not fast finger, worry about if your page refreshes. And I think a lot of it would have been solved if they just didn't give 3 packs to people. Like you give one each, one max, right? Like that's 3 times as many people getting a pack.
That's a good idea. I kind of like that because then everybody feels okay. At least I got one.
Like, why'd you need 3? Like, why do some people need 3 and other people need 0? Right? Like, I guess that's my argument. If you knew demand was going to be that high, why did you need 3?
I mean, going back to like the Top Shot idea is, I don't think they are pricing these for current. I think they're pricing these for long term to be able to have them sell this way. Where arguably it should have been something more like, I don't know, 0.05, 0.15, 0.25 or something. Like it, you really shouldn't get 3 packs for 0.01 when you're getting, what was that? 5, it was 5 cards each of those, right? So you're getting 15 cards for 0.01. That's automatically going to be guaranteed profit. And that was the side of it where, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was 4-3-1, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. It's almost impossible to fail if you get that core pack. So in that sense, that was the side of it that, I mean, they could have priced it higher, but I think they're thinking long-term with it as well.
And you would notice, Babs wouldn't notice, but the rest of us notice that you pay a transaction fee essentially when you buy them. We paid 0.07 on top of that, the pack fees as a gas fee. So I thought that was interesting from an economic perspective for the team, because it's kind of like when you are paying a credit card fee when you're swiping your credit card, but then they just fold it into the overall cost. Like, how do you want to hide this money from folks? So they could have done 0.05 on each level. Maybe that prices out one person in the world from getting the packs. Like nobody else would bat an eye at 0.05 on each.
Well, some people were saying like, oh, wow, they're adding this much, but I mean,
that's my point though, because if we added 0.05 on each of the 3 packs, then nobody's going to complain. It's just going to be hidden in the cost. So it's interesting that they separated it out. So what that leads to down the road is, oh, I only paid 0.01 for this pack, but really you paid 0.01 divided by that gas fee. So I know we're talking not that much in ETH terms, but it's just interesting as far as how they structured the pricing. Because it feels like, I think they're thinking about it at least, which is really bullish in my view on Parallel as a team and as a project, because they're thinking about the nuances of it. And even I remember Babs in the Discord was like, what are the chances this site stays up? There's like a 10% chance that it stays up. And it basically did. The initial drop, it failed, but that's right when they deployed it. So I'm super bullish on Parallel in general. And this goes to a macro conversation, I guess, if we want to go there. But it's chilly season, which means it's time to build. And I think Parallel is going to build probably a fun game. I was talking to Storm, like, do you actually want to play the game? He said, probably. I think it'd be fun. So has anybody read up on Parallel, and or are you interested in actually playing the game?
I want
Trey?
to. I want to look into it now that I hit a couple of these packs, right? So before I go out, on a selling spree. I mean, these were so plus EV. I paid barely anything for them. So I don't see any need to really rush, at least in my position, to just rush and sell these. So, CryptoStorm is really sharp. And I think I've, a lot of the money that I've made so far, in NFTs or in crypto in general is just tailing people that I see as sharp. So, I mean, if CryptoStorm is as into these as he is, then it at least makes me raise my eyebrow and go, okay, I should probably be looking into this before I, just go off and dump the cards for the guaranteed plus EV. So I'm going to be looking into it for sure, especially because it's, like you said, it's chilly season right now. Why not look into it?
Yeah.
But no, I haven't dove into almost anything. I think the art on these things is freaking sweet though. I searched it on my OpenSea right now and like my big monitor. It just looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like all the cards put together.
Yeah. The art's incredible. I put it up against the fuck render fuck crystals, and just
these are better.
They're unparalleled, because I remember when the crystals came out, I was like, oh wow, these are cool. And yeah, I was kind of wrong about that particular one. On the note of tailing Storm, just tail him the whole way through. I missed out on $600 of this meme coin called Tractor because I didn't click 2 more buttons over on Avalanche. And so follow the whole way through, and then you'll get an extra $600 of a meme coin. FYI. The other goings on are NFT NYC. So IRL meetups. Obviously, the 4 of us are still sitting in our basements, if you will, as Levitan would say. So, what are our takes on in-person meetups? I know Babs. I'll go to you first as far as like. I think you're talking about it's lines, and lines are cool. Lines are bullish. So, what's your take on the NFT NYC whole concept?
Imagine waiting in a line, right? Spending $1,000 to fly to New York to wait in a line for 7 hours with a bunch of guys that don't shower. Like, no, that's a joke. I actually think like the Bored Ape stuff is super bullish to me. Like the fact that people are flying out to New York, waiting in the line just to kind of hang out with people that are like-minded and part of their community. Like, we're in an NFT Discord, we're on an NFT show. Like that should be cool to most of us. Like the fact that people get that into NFTs, like that's bullish to me. Like long term, people want to be part of it. Like the whole NFT space is, we always get down on it, but the fact that people want to like participate in events like that, just to be part of a exclusive club, like I actually really like that. Like I have a Bored Ape, so obviously I'm biased, but it's not why I own it, but like seeing other people get that excited about it makes you, appreciate what you have, I guess.
Lou, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on in-person meetups for NFTs?
Seems like they have a pretty good turnout, and everything that I've seen on like Twitter, everyone seems pretty happy about being there and how things are being run. I get the idea that like, a line, it's kind of like when we have a big drop and there's a lot of people waiting, like the Parallel one, that just proves demand at that point. And it's nice to see that, but at the same time, like you wish they maybe anticipated better how many people would show up. The Top Shot, they seem to have a pretty good meeting today. And then I see all these people at the Knicks game, and it just seems like everyone's having a good time. And so far it looks pretty successful.
What about you, Trey?
I actually thought about going. I was kind of late to the game to it, and I've already, I was in Florida for 2 weeks. I'm going to LA here for the Vikings Chargers game in a week, and then I'm going Thanksgiving, and I'll be in Phoenix in February. So I already got like
Nice
I already
life.
got
Hey?
too much shit going on, man. Like, I don't know. It was hard to justify, but I really did want to make it out there. I've just been like so on the go lately, in terms of traveling and stuff, just because I don't know, I was cooped up for a year and a half, and now I want to go out and enjoy myself. So a lot of those are like annual things that I do, but I'm just sneaking a few more trips in here. So no, I would have loved to get out there. I think it would have been a lot of fun, especially just like, look, we've been spending the last 9 months on our computers with like the same people, right? It would be cool to finally come in and see everybody in person and kind of do one of those meetups. And I hope we can in the future here soon.
Yeah, and people are meeting at this point in time, like famous people, like Gary
Yeah.
Vee is there.
Yep.
Ferocious
Some
had a
people.
bunch of people paint with him today.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like Rose Gold was there at the Top Shot meetup, and Roham, and all these people that we're seeing online and or over like videos or whatever, and you can like meet them in person, and like that's kind of cool too. Or just someone like Farouk, however you pronounce that one. I saw him around, and people were excited to see him, and it's the type of thing. Didn't Shamdu have something like "Find me in Central
send you
Park" or
point
something?
one. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Actually,
That was
like,
great.
Yeah.
I was just imagining people running up to like this 15-year-old or 16-year-old kid, like fanboying over it. It's like, oh my gosh, how low are we stooping right now?
With his mom there to take the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
That was great. It's great.
That's funny.
So, Brian, this is also where my head went, because I know people were talking about, oh, I'm going to bring my laptop to the convention center or whatever. I'm like, there's no chance in hell I would do that. It's not, or set up a burner machine or whatever. Yeah. And you could do that and keep a small-ish amount of ETH on it if you really wanted to. But yeah, there are people smarter than you, meaner than you, ready to take your money. And everyone walking around there is worth a lot of virtual money, and they know how to deal with it. So yeah, I agree with Brian. That would honestly scare me of these big meetups. So you better have your OPSEC on point in that regard, even in the hotels, because they know where you're going to want to stay in the hotels.
More so in the hotels, I think.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we didn't see like one person get hacked. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but like, I mean, that's got to be a magnet for hackers.
Oh, for sure.
Stuff like that. People get careless. They have a few drinks at bars and stuff. I mean, it seems like it'd be so easy.
Yeah, clubngmi meetup. There you go, Trey. Way to go. You went full circle on that.
Yeah, you fudded it. Now
that's true.
We can never do it.
I would still go. I think just being careful, like you said, having a burner account.
Why are we stabbing people?
Yeah, that's morbid.
No, not. I don't. Okay, if you stab Babs, his abs would protect the rest of his body.
Oh, that's
I don't
true.
think you'd have any problem.
But I've heard people say that before. That like they don't feel comfortable wearing like a Bored Ape like hoodie out in public, and like I kind of understand that. Like it's basically saying, hey, I potentially have a asset worth $100,000 on my phone, right? A lot of people might not know that, but like I get the fact that where some people might be a little paranoid about it, right? I never really thought of that take until someone brought it up.
Really?
That makes sense. I mean, yeah. Do people who walk around with a Rolex more likely to get robbed? Like, are people that drive fancy cars more likely to get it broken into? Like, that is a real thing, right? And if people know that, you can only access this Bored Ape sweatshirt if you own one, then they're arguably worth at least that 30 ETH or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it does. It does matter. Like people, like someone in the chat said, like people drive Lamborghinis and they survive, right? But I never thought about it. Like it never really concerned me that much. But I have seen people say that before, right?
Yeah, basically the moral there is I'll play daddy wang again. Just be careful when you're meeting up with a bunch of nerds in person. Like and part of I guess the difference is broadcasting it too. Like that's my issue. And just wearing the hoodie is different because you might not have cash on you. But if you have your computer out or doing whatever, because we're also like nerds in general who are involved in NFTs and in crypto, so we're going to want to have our devices around just in case. And yeah, it's just a little scary.
So am I going to get robbed for wearing my new Club NGMI hoodie?
Yeah, you're
Is that gonna
automatically you're automatically rich if you have that on.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's basically happened twice now where people are like, "Oh my god, it's sold." That's scary. Where one sold and he hasn't returned yet, and the other one had multiple tokens, thankfully. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are going to go after your token. We'll see. Okay, we had some listener questions as well submitted. So we had one from Ham Bowen. Pick 5 holds. 5 feels like a lot, so we'll do like 2 or 3 each, I guess, which we can overlap. I want to take it easy. I mean, I thought of one of these, so 5 seems like a lot for me personally. Pick 5 holds for the non-punk BAYC, Bored Apes, or Kongs division. Now, Ham included ... so like that kind of echelon, but I personally wanted to start with Cool Cats would be mine as of right now. I'm not a Cool Cats holder. I like their roadmap. I do think the PFPs are cute. So they check a lot of boxes for me as far as what I'd want to buy for the high end holds. So that's my first one. Lou, do you have another hold that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I have a few that I'm currently holding. Doodles is a hold for me. Yeah. Similar idea to what you're saying about Cool Cats is I think the artwork on it is something that I could see people using for PFPs. They seem to like it. It's relatively simple. Like the colors are the pastels. People generally like that color scheme, and they have a pretty strong team behind them. So that's one that I'm holding.
Abs, what are you holding? Not your
I'm probably gonna get flamed for this one, but I kind of mentioned it earlier. Like I like holding Pixel Vault stuff, and people laugh at it, but I actually think if you want something that has a bunch of upside and you want to invest in, a perceived good team that has upside with, if that game actually ends up being something one day, like to me, it has the most upside. It has the best chance at being one of those ones that, rockets in the future. If the game's good, people like it, they have a ton of money to invest in this game, right? Remember, and like perceived good team, like that's debatable by a lot of people, but the mechanics of the staking, the mechanics of like a future game that has a ton of funding available and perceived like investors, the rumored Adidas interest in the merchandise deal, like all that stuff to me. And you might laugh and it might never be a thing, but what if it is a thing, right? Like it's
Beanie isn't like, completely melted down by then.
Yeah, all those things. But like that's why that's why I'm interested in holding it is the upside and the fact that if Pixel Vault doesn't succeed, probably 99% of my other bags aren't working out either. So like I'd rather invest in the high upside one if I'm thinking long term.
I was just laughing at Adidas because Adidas has become when China for Top Shot. Like for me, like because I've heard about this. Oh, have you heard? Have you heard? For literally months now. It's gonna
be like Skechers.
And the other one, I'll actually throw this out. Like Carlene will love it, but like Penelope's Country Club's a long-term hold for me. Like Allison brought it up the other day. Invest in people. Like Carlini, I trust he's always going to be building. He's always going to be thinking of ways to like bring value. I'll just bet on him. Like I'll trust the fact that he'll always be trying. And that's 95% of it for me. Like I'm just interested in seeing where he takes it. So like I'm happy to hold those.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard, specifically if you're in our small world, to separate the bit from the truth on Penelope's, just because Carlini comes in and is like the Kool-Aid man, just giving us a hard time, which is most of us seem to enjoy it and get the bit, and then so it's kind of hard to say, yeah, Penelope long-term hold kind of deal, but yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he's the fact that. I don't know. I haven't done my 50 research on too many of these projects, but I haven't heard of many with 2-year-long commitments from a team, which I think it's huge because we've already talked about 2 cycles like that feel like this already in NFT world. We've been doing this for what, 6 months, 7 months or so. So yeah, 2 years is going to be a long time for that team for sure. Trey, what hold do you have?
Babs, you're not going to believe this. I almost put Pixel Vaults on that list when I was thinking about it, mostly because like I obviously sold off and I think even Crypto Storm said in the Discord today, like everyone was kind of shitting on Beanie, but he's like, he's made me a lot of money, and the same holds true here. So, like you said, Babs, I mean, there's so much upside there. So I'm not going to be the one to say don't invest in it. In fact, you know, they've got the planets and some other stuff that you can invest. Even I guess the meta heroes now are down to what, like a 2.5 ETH floor. So I mean, it's not like the biggest entry price like it was back when it was really pumping and mint passes were like 9 ETH. So I don't think it's that bad of a bet right now. I think it's gone down, and it might even be the time to get into it. But just know there's obviously a lot of risk that comes along with that, and that it really, it's probably not in my top 5, but I can see why it would be because it's got so much upside. Cool Cats was another one I would be looking at. As much as we don't talk about it, Zed is probably still on my list of holds, and I sold off a lot of my really good horses and stuff like that just because I was really trying to stack ETH back then and kind of hit those goals. But I mean, I still hold like 6 or 7 fillies probably, as well as a lot of the offspring there. So I'm just kind of sitting back and watching on that. Like I don't have time to get in and play the game, but if it really does pop off, I want to have exposure to that one. Another cheaper one, why I think toads are in my top 5. So I don't know if those would be considered in like the punk, probably not in that.
I mean,
division,
they're
so.
lower than Cool Cats. So
Yeah.
So
Toad's
I
on
would
my
put,
list.
I almost honestly bought another toad when I was kind of liquidating a lot of stuff. I wanted to reshuffle some positions just in terms of what I was invested in NFTs, and toads is at the top of the list there. So toads, and then another one that's maybe a little bit off the beaten path would be Robotos. Those did really well, actually. Like they came out of nowhere. We all sat on them for months. And then I think a lot of people sold off, but those got up to like a 2 ETH floor. And now I think they're back to like half an ETH now. But I mean, they've got a good artist. We all love the art. I think the community is pretty decent. So I think they've got a pretty good backing, and they're officially here to stay. So I would put like a almost maybe make that my dark horse of holds.
Yeah. I still think Zed is high on like long term. They're doing a lot, and they're doing more free stuff, like free tournaments and just tournaments in general.
Yep.
Like I have all my Zed bags still. Like what concerned me is looking at the floor lately. Like I think I still have, 11 or 12 Genesis horses, but Buter and Genesis were down to like 0.18 last I looked. Again,
wow.
Everything's down, but like I think last I checked before that was like 0.58 floor. So everything's down, but yeah, like I still am comfortable holding the Zed stuff just because I do think it's a good long-term bet. It might never work out like some of this stuff, but more comfortable holding that than some of the other things. But are we kind of bearish on the fact that none of us said art blocks? Like
I have it on my list. I wanted to bring it up.
I kind of consider that in the higher range.
Is
honestly.
it okay?
But
there's a whole range.
I mean, there's certain playground drops that you could definitely get into for a pretty affordable entry point, in my opinion. So I think you got to pick the artist, and you kind of pick something you just vibe with. But I think art blocks is definitely in that conversation.
Yeah, some people are talking in the chat about the Galactic Apes. I don't know.
Galactic Apes in top 5 holds. Yeah,
it'd be tough.
I like the argument for Galactic Apes is the art's really good. Like people like the art of the artist. They're trying to build utility in the future with a game and missions. So like again, it goes back to that whole thing. If the game's no good, people don't like it, then yeah, like it's not a good long-term hold because then it's just a PFP project. But if they actually build something that people like, yeah, like I still have 6. Like I'm happy to hold them over some of the other stuff that I think's just a PFP project that like Vogu or Animita is like. I'd rather hold my Galactic Apes than those type of things, right?
I would agree there.
Yeah. The other one,
the last one on my list.
Well,
go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I hold a couple other ones, but World of Women I've always been high on because they have the women narrative to it. So that's one that I hold long term because I think it'll sustain for a while. Especially what I've like seen online with other, the women empowering movement side of it. I think we'll always keep it like relatively steady, and Gary V is a big backer of that one.
I just want to say sup to all my Domiverse friends for the Blit Map, Blit Not, Sup Drive bros. I think Dom is a super nerd who is going to make fun games that are mostly or all going to be on chain. And he's just going to push things forward in a lot of different ways. And there's going to be a new drop coming soon-ish from him, and he's really focused on the drop mechanics. So I'm curious to see what a person who I think is a very creative mind is going to come up with for a drop, because he's weighing all the market dynamics. Like, he already is talking about, oh, I want to reward my owners, but I also don't want to price out new people. So how do you manage that kind of distribution path? I think that'll be very interesting. And he's just an on-chain maxi in a lot of ways. So I even fudded it a while ago. There was a silly little skateboarding game that he released. It was like, hey, look at this cool thing that I did, which I also think that could just be that he's just a super nerd, like just did that in a 2-day sprint and then was like, oh, look at this cool game that I did. Because then you also see some of the artwork from the Blit Knots and the Blit Maps, and it's pretty incredible as far as just the art experience. So yeah, I think that's one of just betting on the creator and betting on the person, because I don't see Dom getting unhinged as far as his public persona, at least, ever. If that happens, then those bags are going to be dead pretty quickly, because he's very calm, focused, and just a nerd. So yeah, the Blitverse is one that I'm super into as well, as far as the red chips, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what colors they are. I don't play with large amounts of money. So people are like, oh yeah, blue chips, white chips. I don't remember. I know blue chips just because the saying, but what's under the blue chip? Is it red? Is that the next one?
I mean, I don't think people call them that way. I think white and red are usually lower.
I think it goes blue, red, white.
Yeah. Great. Well, maybe when we do a Club NGMI meetup, we'll have to play with poker chips correctly, because we always just said blue was worth 10 this time and red was worth 100 this time. Like, whatever.
I mean, we just have to do.
There's no other chips.
We just have to do like a Poker Stars tournament through Club MGMI, and then we can see who gets which chips are the highest in nomination.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would get crushed.
I would
just start betting apes.
That'd be fun. Oh. Well, we'd have to do it in the metaverse. So then we actually sit in like
that would
3D versus just sitting on the table, top down kind of viewpoint. Adam is trying to get Adam's baiting me. This is bait, Adam. And Eric, this is bait. We're not doing that. No. That's Dangy Discord content style. We're not doing that on the show. Any other what, Lou? What do you got?
I mean, not the worst topic. I mean, he already says, let's see, spicy nacho Doritos, hint of lime Tostitos. I don't know. What are your takes on those two, at least? Because those wouldn't be on my top two.
No. This is bullshit. I don't like these. Spicy nacho, get out of here. You just get the regular nacho. Like, what do you want? You want the MSG. That's what you're there for. Just get it through the nachos. I used to be a Cool Ranch Dorito Maxi. Tried the nacho again. It doesn't taste like nachos, guys. It does not. That in my head, I'm like, oh, it's like nacho. No, it's not. It's just different.
Tastes like cheese.
It's better.
It's the cheese, yeah.
Yeah. Hint of lime Tostitos? No. Also, that's a no thank you on my book. I don't know. I just like the plain tortilla chips, which I will eat chips and salsa 24 hours a day. My in-laws thought that was the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, I'll do it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Also, if you want some tortilla chips with your breakfast, chilaquiles. Give them a shot. You're welcome. I bet you they don't have those up in Ottawa.
Regular kettle chips are still the goat.
What flavor kettle?
Just regular
like Cape Cod chips.
Yeah. I could eat those for days.
Yeah.
The flavored ones are good too, but I just like the classic.
The most underrated chip is the sour cream and cheddar, by the way. That's the most underrated, because I don't think people buy it, but it's actually sneakily delicious.
So those are like the Ruffles ones.
Yeah, that's right. The orange and blue bag.
Yeah, I do like those.
See, barbecue chips are super overrated too.
Incredibly. Here we go. This leads perfectly. Babs, you're going to say all dressed, aren't you? You're going to say all dressed.
I'm not a big chip guy. I think chips are
Nice.
overrated. Like
doesn't-
I don't know. Like
Doesn't
I
like
mean,
chips and
like-
doesn't like concerts. What is this?
I'll-
Who
like,
are
I'll have
you? Are you an
nachos, but
alien?
like,
Like, what?
I'll have nachos, but I won't sit down and have a bag of chips. Like,
I mean,
if I'm
they have
gonna
like
something
ketchup
that's-
chips in Canada, so I understand why you
You
wouldn't
know,
like chips.
Like I'm an adult,
I'll
I'll have a beer. You know, I'm not like a little kid.
No, so you're.
What does
so,
beer have
so
to
it's
do
a
with chips?
Saturday
You can
Well,
afternoon.
if I'm gonna have,
with
if I'm gonna
beer,
have
like,
shitty,
that's the
if I'm
best
gonna have
combo
shitty
out there.
calories, I'll have a beer. I'm not gonna have like I'm gonna have my
Jesus.
chocolate bar. Right?
God, you're bringing up calories. Talking about favorite chips and you're bringing up calories. Can we not do this?
Well, yeah, if I eat junk food
Do-
all day, yeah, obviously I'd love to eat bags of chips every day, but I try to take care of myself.
This is incredible. So, what do you put on the side of your sandwich? Do you have like a turkey and cheese sandwich ever?
I have to have chips with my sandwich. Yeah, like I'll have a sandwich.
But
And then-
you don't have anything on the side of it? Do you?
Sandwich and chips. Just
Like a
I don't
pickle?
know how you could.
Like a pickle, maybe.
Well, you can put pickles on your sandwich, but like having it on the side is the
Yeah, no, I just like I try and eat healthy. If I'm gonna have something that's like
Yeah, they're greasy.
shitty calories, I'll have a beer,
Yeah.
or I'll have something that I'm not picking chips is my argument, right?
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
I suppose.
What crunchy snack do you go for? I'm personally an extra toasty Cheez-It Maxi over everything. I don't buy them anymore because I eat too many of them. So what is your Babs? What is your snack? Crispy snack of choice.
I like popcorn. If I'm gonna have something, I'll have just
Oh.
popcorn. I like popcorn. Is that kind of lame?
That white cheddar skinny pop is straight
Yeah.
crack.
Yeah,
It
like,
is
I
so
love that
good.
stuff. Like all the
It
skinny
is
pop
so
bags.
good.
Like I can
Yeah,
just crush
I
that.
still
Like
have-
yeah.
I have a bag of that upstairs. It's fantastic. I'll give you that.
Do you go fresh popcorn or clearly we're talking bagged popcorn, but what about fresh? Are we fresh people?
I like fresh, but it just
Oh, yeah.
like
I like
it takes
fresh.
more time. Like the skinny pop ones are so easy. Just pop it
Mhm.
open and it's ready
Yeah.
to go.
Oh yeah, the skinny pop is
Yeah.
pretty good, especially the white cheddar one.
So good.
Lou, how do you dress your popcorn if you were to make it fresh?
I don't dress
Butter.
popcorn.
I mean, I
Well, you
prefer
just put
butter and
butter
salt,
in
like
there.
movie theater. Oh yeah,
It's popcorn. You don't have to put like caramel in there and like all random
Mm-mm.
stuff.
Mm-mm. No thanks.
I agree with that, but tahini is the move on popcorn. Some butter, tahini. By the way, if you have a 1,000-watt microwave like mine, you put the butter in for 42 seconds, melts perfectly. 40 is
Who
still a little
knows how
solid.
many watts their microwave has? Like, if you asked me, I would not know. Like,
No,
I
no
do.
chance.
Is that normal for people to know? Like,
No, there's no
the
chance.
amount of
No one
watts
cares.
on there-
No one
What
cares.
is this?
Who
Like,
cares? Who
That's why,
cares?
like, whenever I read
Only Dangy
instructions
would
on
know
stuff
that.
like that, it's like, well, depending on the power of your microwave. And I was like, well, where do I even find that? Like, how powerful my
You can find it
microwave
in the
is.
microwave.
No.
If you want, I could explain why I know that, but then TD will get mad at me. I know that for sure. All right. Any other bluish chip holds?
I actually like that you brought up blip maps. Like that stuff interests me. Like I always looked at it. Like I'm not good at second guying, especially expensive things. But like I wish I was in that project, and if I was, I'd be holding it. Like I'm glad you brought it up.
Wonky stocks.
It's one of those ones. Yeah, no. It's one of those ones where like you make the argument to invest in people. Like he does seem super sharp, as you said, right? Oops.
Whoop. Oh, I have another one. The Wizards, the Forgotten Wizards cult.
Oh God, that hurts.
That one is holding very strong over this past week.
I
when
know.
others were getting hurt, and I mean on chain, and it seems like they have pretty good developers back end. And I know Babs really liked their website during that first drop, so I think they're one that I'm interested in. And I think they have a connection with Coinbase when Coinbase NFT marketplace is going to come out.
Yeah, like they're still at 1 Ethereum. Like that's pretty good considering what the market's been.
Are they
right?
really? God, I'm kicking myself for selling those too early. Those are ones that I actually am just like, dang it. Like I knew that they were going to be good, and I just didn't. I was just like, I'm going to list these, and one of my mass crusades of listing, they got caught in the line of fire. So It's too bad. Or Lou, how have we not mentioned Avastars? Like, I just feel
That
so
was the other
wrong
one
for
on the
that.
list.
Yeah.
If I was
um,
making 5, but it seemed like we were all.
I
kinda-
think Avastars would be on there. Like, I have 3 left, and I probably will not sell them
I have more than that.
to the moon or zero.
But I'm keeping the 5 female ones that I have specifically to make that replicant, which is coming out within the next month. So
Sweet.
I'm excited for that one. I already have it. What it's gonna be.
Would you rather fight
That is
10
a
Matic
funny
sized
question.
Andys or 1 Andy sized Matic?
One Andy
Oh,
says Matic.
Yeah, I think it's 1 Andy size. There's the delta
know.
of size isn't big enough to warrant the
Man.
10-to-1 ratio.
10 Andys like sprinting at you, this like throwing fists.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah.
That would be very tough.
I don't but I feel like I also feel like Andy is less likely to actually fight you than 10 Matics would. I think the 10 Matics would get mad at each other and get riled up and then try to fight you. I don't see Andy getting too crazy about that. All right. So Trey, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm being a bad teammate right now, and I apologize.
Oh, man.
So you mentioned that this feels way back about an hour or so ago. Like this feels like Mayish, June, when we could like plan ahead, look forward at projects that are coming up, and then kind of pick our spots a little bit better. Like I think Forgotten Runes were around that time, and I remember we identified that. We're like, oh, this is going to be a good one, and that's an example of one. So, have you seen any on the horizon that you're looking at? I'm still trying to play catch up and like clean my own house, like almost literally and figuratively. So I have not looked forward to see what I'm interested in coming up in the next couple of days. Do you have any projects that you are interested in?
Not really off the top of my head. That I can really think of that are scheduled out there. Yeah, I guess I really don't have any that are. Usually they pop up like the week of or something. Like Parallel was one that was kind of anticipated or whatever, but a lot of times they do pop up and then they release like 5 days later or a week later. So nothing that I can really think of off the top of my head.
That was Doodles.
Hold on. I got breaking news. We have another listener question. TD asked, how do you sleep at night? So I'm a big fan of white noise machines. Are you guys white noise maxis?
No.
I think you have to have kids. Like once you have kids and you sleep with a baby in your room and they have that sweet white noise machine, you can't sleep without it after that, right? Like it's the only way kids can sleep these days, I guess. Like that's a rule. You can't have a kid that's born in the 2000s that can't sleep without a white noise machine. So once they sleep in your room, you just get so used to it. And now I can't sleep in a silent room anymore.
No, we have an army of them. We have N+1. We'll continue the nerd theme of we have 3 bedrooms. So I have 4, which is literally a backup and also like a travel one if we're driving somewhere, because the actual physical ones are better than just the phone one or the speaker one. So that's good. What about comforters? Like I'm a big, I like heavy comforters on me. So we recently got a weighted blanket, and it's weighted blanket season because it's too hot in the summer, but it's getting chilly. Babs, you weighted blanket guy?
I need to get
it's
a
gotta be.
weighted blanket.
I don't have a weighted blanket, but I have like the heavy comforter. So I've always kind of wondered if I should try the weighted blanket, but yeah, like I'm a type of guy that I need to be cold at night, but I also want weight on me. So it's that weird, double standard.
Oh, just get your little toesies out.
But I like having a blanket on me. Like I need the blanket on me. I need it to be like, feel covered, but I also hate being hot, and I run hot. So I'm always hot. So my wife's the opposite. So she hates it. Like I have the fan on. Like I always have the fan on. She hates it because I'm hot and she's cold. So we fight over the temperature, right?
What about a fan?
That's how it goes.
Fan is like the closest to white noise that I use.
Yeah, that
I don't
counts.
even have a fan.
It counts.
I fall asleep with I use a sleep timer on my TV a lot, so I like fall asleep to Netflix. I'll just throw some random episode of something on and then fall asleep to it, and then TV will automatically turn off. That's my go-to.
Yeah, just pop some melatonin.
We're upsetting Clampy. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, I'm a theanine maxi now because I'm a Huberman's Lab maxi, and he's talked about theanine, and it's about like relaxation. And I took it once during the day, and oh my god, that was so hard to stay awake. So yeah, that's how I now try to wind down my day with some theanine as well. Yeah, Clampy, go away, Clampy. Like this is what do you want hard hitting NFT analysis? I don't want. We're not going to do TA on market trends. Oh, okay. I guess I thought he was talking shit, but whatever. All right, so that's how we sleep. Oh, look at Clampy.
See,
I didn't know Clampy was in on theanine.
he's a theanine.
Oh yeah, that's right. It counteracts the caffeine jitters that you can get if you're okay.
Have you guys tried a sunrise alarm clock, where it it goes on, or it gradually lights up the room as you're waking up? It's pretty sweet. So then when you wake up, it's not like completely dark and you just feel like you're in a cave. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, like Dangy and I are sitting here like saying we'll get every ounce of sleep we can get, and you have to wake up to a sunrise alarm clock because it's one, it's 1 in the afternoon. Yeah, if my kid sleeps past 6 a.m., it's like a miracle.
Yeah, my dog is like in my face same exact time every morning. I don't know how he's the sunrise alarm for me.
If you we got one of those lights that turns like red and green when your kid's allowed to get out of the room or whatever. We did it retroactively. Kid doesn't care. Like she only brings it up when she's like, I waited until it's green. She doesn't wait when it's red. She just So if you're about to have a kid and you want to do that light thing, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, they're just gonna run all over the place. So that's fine. I don't have one of those nice lights that wakes up. The alarm rings. If I get to my alarm, it's a good day. At 6:15 is my alarm. That's a good day. Yeah. Lou, do you have any projects you've seen coming up? Anything that will help me sleep better at all?
Coming up?
Yeah.
That Akira one still isn't dropped yet.
Are you serious?
Well, they haven't announced a date for it, right? So it was supposed to be in like the first couple weeks in November. Like the first half of November, I think was their timeline. So like hopefully we get that soon.
Yeah. That one.
I'm trying to look forward quickly on the Lucky Trader schedule.
So I have one. Yeah. So like they announced an art blocks curated for next Monday. So like I'm super curious to see in winter, when we haven't had an art blocks curated for probably, 3 or 4 weeks now, how it ends up. Like, I think that one I'm excited for just because we haven't had one in so long, and maybe it'll be something that we can, make money on. That would be nice. And then the other ones that is Fish Tank. I'll give you credit, Dangy. I'm kind of looking forward for Fish Tank potentially dropping on Friday. It's just a project that's kind of similar to the Orcs and Mice feel. It's kind of got the same vibe. So we'll see if it ends up being any good.
I'm trying to pull up this. There's an Art Blocks playground that looks pretty neat, actually, but I haven't done it on this computer, so it's taking me forever. So there's one on November 5th at noon that I'm interested by Lauren Bednar. So yeah, I think Art Blocks. Hopefully, it's coming back. We'll see.
That would be awesome if Art Blocks came back. Those are the best times.
Art Block trickle down.
It was just a print fest for Art Blocks. You just mint it and sell it for like 2 ETH right after.
Hot Wheels, Wax, November 16th. Book it.
I don't even know if I have a Wax account, to be honest. And maybe from way back when I set it up, but that I wouldn't know how to get into it.
It would likely be from Street Fighter because you were not a Wax bro back in the day. So I think it'd be Street Fighter.
Absolutely not. It was after Street Fighter. I think I did some of that like Our Planet stuff or something. Like I literally logged on. It started like mining on some planet, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this on my work computer, and never went on Wax again.
Wax has been
I believe that's Alien Worlds.
Oh, that might have been it. Yep.
Yeah, I sold some Wax this week. It hit 40 cents, and I was very excited to get some back.
I remember that night that it pumped, and I was not looking at Wax at all, and I forget what it got up to, but that was electric because a lot of us had a lot of Wax bags, and it was dead for a long time.
lose the wax equivalent of DeFi Kingdom with me just buying the top, right?
No, opposite. It never topped. That was the thing. It was just at like 16 cents. Yeah, it got up to 58. Yeah, it was at like 16 cents the last time I looked. And it was like, wow, it's pumping. So people are back on wax potentially. Clamp is a waxy.
What is bringing them to wax?
Is DeFi Kingdoms not doing well? Is that the?
Well, I just bought the top. It's fine. It's a 50-year play, Trey.
Okay. I was thinking about getting into, but then someone was like, "Have Trey be our exit liquidity," and I'm like, "Well, maybe I don't want to get in."
I still think DeFi Kingdom is a decent play. Yes, the jewel price is down. That's just how these things work. I think it's fine.
It's all about buying into side chains. If people are going to buy into Harmony, DeFi Kingdom's going to do well.
Yeah.
I just like the thesis of the play. Like if once you log into the platform, you kind of see how neat it is, and it's different. Like DeFi sitting on top of a gaming platform, sitting on top of DeFi. Like I could see a bunch of people in this space being interested in it. So it's kind of the play on like the fact that the game might catch on once they develop it out a bit, right? But
no, I thought I watched some of that stream that you guys did on it. It looks sweet. I just haven't taken the time to actually go and get set up and do all that stuff yet.
What about Treeverse? It kind of similar graphic wise to Treeverse. Treeverse has been pumping. They have a drop coming soon actually as well. Yeah,
we were just talking about that today. How we're gonna sell at 3 once it hits 3.
Yeah, it's like 2.5, we'll see if, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to watch and see if that actually gets up there. I really don't know a lot about it. That was some Logan Alpha that he was like, "Hey, might be a good buy now," like a month ago. And so we just went in and bought one. I think a couple of us, me, Riley, and someone else, went in and bought one. And yeah, it's been not a bad play.
Yeah,
it's hard to find those these days. Hard to find those, especially as second guys. So
that's
I vow 1 week minus 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'll have some things that I'm interested in the NFT world, or I'll explain to you why I'm not interested in them. So either it's going to be, yeah, we're dead, it's over, or here's some things on the horizon that we're interested in. Yeah, I think art blocks that's a good bellwether of if the art blocks curated is alive, then we're good. So, and by alive, I don't mean you can flip it to double your profit. I mean like selling out before it hits 0.2 and it just, hey, 23 of these things sold, like that dead.
I mean, I cannot imagine that it will be that dead. I mean, this is it's gonna sell out.
Yeah, like especially because there hasn't been one in a while. I'm more interested to see like how quick, like what price it sells out, and then if the floor doesn't crash immediately after, right? Like I think the biggest worry is, it sells out at say 5 Ethereum, and then an hour later it's down to 3.5, right? Like I think that's bearish on the NFT space if that happens. So we'll see. I think it'll be a good barometer test, because we haven't had one of those in a while.
We were talking about setting the bar low and then leaping over it. So that's what I was doing. But you guys are being honest about your assessment. I don't like that as much because it could fail. I'm trying to let it not fail, because I would love there to be some NFTs that keep us warm throughout the winter. So
I will
thank
say
you all.
what?
Oh
no, don't.
Well, last thing. If this is the end, that's kind of weird of the NFT bull market. I kind of saw it being more violent and there being more blood in the streets, I guess, in terms of projects just crashing like crazy. So, I mean, some of these are still holding up. I mean, you can still get, decent money for it. Granted, there's less liquidity, but, I think some of these projects, if this is truly winter, are holding up better than I thought they would have otherwise.
I think the good projects are holding up. The good projects are holding up. All like the C-level projects are complete dust now. Like they're almost all under 0.01. You can't even sell them for under that. Like anything that's not, the project that's well established and has a good community and been around for a while, like all those are like almost complete dust now, right? Like you can't even upload them if you wanted to. So like that, I think that's the where the blood in the street is right now. But at least it's nice to have some things kind of holding on, right?
Yeah.
So there was a late. The people want more chats. I don't know. I tried to not have the trolley jokes thrown in the questions, which is I think what they actually want. But there was one real one. Then I will actually land the plane so I can try to kick this stupid cold. So Frankie wrote in. Shout out to Frankie. A true grinder. I love to see Frankie hit some wins. From a few weeks ago, he asked about what about the floor price while something is being minted. So that'd be a slow mint or when there was a pre-sale mint, I guess, in this scenario. So there was a point. Frankie sold something for 0.08 and it was a 0.08 mint and he sold it for 0.16 right away. And then he was going to go mint another one, but he saw the floor dropped to 0.09, so he didn't want to risk it. And then now it's up to 0.4 plus. So basically the price action it was double mint price while they were still minting in pre-sale, and then the floor dropped, and then now it's back up to 0.4. So that's a fairly common price pattern that we've seen in a lot of projects where
The classic
we're
U.
getting more supply, and then we get the U where there's people just dumping to quick flip, and then they get scared, and then that keeps falling. And then as typically what I'll look for is the distribution of holders. If that broadens, then it's more likely that it's going to be a upward U shape afterwards. Just because if I only have one of a thing, I'm less likely to sell it if I actually like the project, for example. So that's my thoughts. I know Babs, you were nodding pretty heavily. So do you have any other nuances on the price action while, say, a pre-sale is going on?
I sometimes get scared off of minting things because like the floor will be around the same cost as what I would mint it for. But I think people overlook that and get a little scared off too easily. Like all the time you'll see after the thing sells out, all of a sudden it'll rocket up, right? So like as long as you like believe in the project, like don't be scared off if the floor is a little bit under mint. Like you still have the rare upside, you still have like that fact. And the fact that like people aren't buying while the mint's going on, like gas is high, no one's sweeping that floor yet. So if you wait till the project's sold out, gas calms down, all of a sudden people come and sweep the floor, and all of a sudden it doubles in an hour, right? So like I kind of fell victim to that. Like I was looking at the Ape Wives, which maybe Frankie's implying. Like it would sold out super slow. The mint, the floor was like a little bit below what it would cost you to mint. But, you know, you can only mint 3 at a time. So that's why it sold out slow. Once it did sell out, maybe people wanted more than their 3. Like you kind of have to look at all those factors, but like I wouldn't let it scare you off. If the floor's 50% of what it'll cost you to mint, yeah, I'm not minting. But if it's around the same cost, like I don't think that's a reason to bail, I guess.
And it all depends on bankroll and where you are in managing that bankroll. I know for Frankie, for example, I'm pretty sure you're building your bankroll, which you mentioned in the question. So yeah, doubling up, great. You 2x.
Take that all day. Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. So the other part is don't look back on these projects unless you become battle hardened for the taking kind of L's on unrealized gains, I guess, if you will. I've been hardened to that at this point. And I usually don't care. Sometimes it hurts. So yeah, just be careful about what you're looking at when you're looking at later on projects when you've minted and made money in particular. Okay. On behalf of Lou, like and subscribe. I know earlier we got a report from Eric that our ratios were out of whack between likes and subscribes, specifically likes and then live viewers. So yeah, forgot to do that before. So like, subscribe, comment if you want. Comments are always good. No, Tony, nothing else. Thank you for asking in the chat. Follow us on Twitter at LouDog. Have you changed your Twitter handle or are you still sports?
Yeah, it's going to be LouDog_ETH.
Oh,
following the NFTs now. Hey,
Love it.
no more sports. He's not even playing DraftKings on the weekend anymore. He's totally out.
I still play DraftKings. Just it didn't go very well this week.
Oh, I got crushed this week.
I'm glad I can't play or refuse to play DFS. There's no chance. Like perhaps I don't know how you would do it as a dad on the weekends. Like I'm just dead. I'm dust.
I have too much fun doing it. I have to. Like even though I know it's minus EV, like I just enjoy building lineups and like looking into it. Like I look forward to it. Yeah, I mean I look forward to it every like weekend that I can do it. So it's one of those things that I just enjoy at this point. And if I make money on it, great. If I don't, then
I used to stay up late on stay up late on Saturday night and build my lineups. But then, Sunday morning I'm wrecked whenever there's like a late injury news, right? Like that's the dad problem is you don't get to spend an hour at your computer doing swaps after whoever's ruled out, right?
Yeah.
I knew that life wasn't for me when way back on Draft Street, I was trying to do NBA DFS.
Draft Street.
Yeah, man.
I used to love Draft
trying to
Street.
do NBA lineups and say like, oh, it's almost dinner time. Like, but so and so for the Sixers is out because the Sixers were trash. So then you were just trying to chase minutes there, and I distinctly remember that. That was a problem. So I was dead doing DFS there, and I was just donating. I would play. Who would I would take head to head because I'm an idiot. I forget who. It doesn't even matter. He retired since then with my money from Draft Street.
Condia.
On behalf of Yep, Condia. You're welcome.
Let's keep talking. So let's keep talking. So Dangy can never end it. You can never end the show. You just want to interrupt us. Just keep talking.
Oh, Jesus Christ! This is so ridiculous. I mean, I'm happy to hang out, but I'm also like sick. Like I do actually want sleep.
No,
you can
I'm trying to sneak out another REM
Get
cycle.
that weighted blanket on.
I got to go find it then. I'm not going in the attic. We're just going to go with the regular blanket today. Thank you, Lou. So if you have questions, Tony, I know you have more questions. Feel free to call me. Tony, we can chat, but I'll put a sleep timer on our conversation. On behalf of Babs, Trey, Lou, this was Dandy 8052. That's Wrapped Andy. You're welcome. Very funny. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. We will see you next week.